Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. Just a reminder, click the link in my bio on Instagram and TikTok, or under every YouTube video is the link to my flow page. In that flow page is my online store, an explanation to my online store, my winning court documents that prove that I know what I'm talking about because I won in the Court of Appeals a couple times against an attorney with 50 years experience. This warehouse worker who flunked out of college destroyed him in the Court of Appeals. One of my Court of Appeals rulings is online, my parenting plan, all that stuff. And then a section of my flow page that says, must see for dads. Those are things every dad must see. There's scientific data. There's the stats on absent fathers. A lot of you already know that. There's a 400-page book on the case for custody for fathers by Daniel Amnius. A couple other a 2-minute trailer from Divorce Corp on false abuse claims. You could quote attorneys and a Harvard law professor. You can get quotes from them and put that in your paperwork defending a restraining order, talking about how restrainers are abused. You can go to my online store for $40. You can have a defense against restraining order packet that's worked for almost everybody who's got it. They either modified their restraining order so they could see their kids and they're still restrained from the mom, or totally just, I just had somebody tell me the other day, they won, mother tried to get away. He lost a restraining order before, he got my packet, and they had a consult with me, and the mother tried to get an extension of the restraining order, and she lost, and there's no more restraining order anymore, for $40. I have a hater on TikTok who's an ex-MMA fighter who gets on my page and calls me a scam. That's what I want to talk about here right now. You should not believe anything that I'm saying just because I say it. And because of that, you know that I'm not a scam. Think about it. If you had a lawyer, how many of you had a lawyer, the lawyer said, don't believe anything I say. Here's the law. Go look it up yourself. Or his statistics on, if they tell you, oh, you'll never get full custody. Here's the statistics on custody and this and that. And then you might ask them, well, how hard did those lawyers fight for the father? Oh, I don't know. If you ask, where do you get that from? Or how do you know, or why, to anybody? If you ask that to one of their statements, and then whatever their answer is, if you ask one more time, well, where do you get that from? You will destroy anybody's debate or anybody's claim toward you, because most people don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to anything in life, because they just go off of what the news or the media or what the latest fad or the latest fear is, and they just believe that because everybody else is believing it. Now that's fine if it's something legit, but if I dig deeper, that's what private investigators do. That's what reporters are supposed to do in the media. That's what attorneys are supposed to do when they have somebody on the stand. They cross-examine them, or private investigators, detectives. They never believe the initial story until they go in and verify, okay? So I'm telling you, do the same thing. Now, if I'm a scam artist, I wouldn't say, don't believe anything I say. Go make me back it up, or go find what I'm talking about. I never tell anybody, oh, this is my theory on the law, so go ahead and just do what I say. I tell people, go look up the law yourself in your own state. I just talked to a dad today. A dad with gumption and with balls who's willing to fight for his kids, or his kid. He saw one of my videos. He said, I got to talk to this guy. And he called me up. And he got, he was trying to set up an appointment. I gave him a little 5 minutes because he said, I just saw your TikTok. And I saw his initiative. And so I gave him 5 minutes of my free time. And I just gave him 3 things that his attorney never told him in 1 year. He spent thousands of dollars on his attorney, and in 5 free minutes with me, got more information than he got within his attorney. And all the things that his attorney didn't attempt to do already, I went bam, bam, bam. I gave him 4 things to ask his attorney why he did not do those things. Don't believe what I'm saying. Click the link in my bio or the link under this video and look at my winning court orders. Now, I don't have every single thing I've ever done, but I have some significant ones. My parenting plan. It says certified copy on it, and it shows I got custody. I didn't have an attorney. The mother had an attorney with 17 years experience. You can go look at his bar number and go find him on the Bar Association. The guardian ad litem had about 10 or 15 years experience. So I had an anti-father, radical feminist, man-hating guardian ad litem. I fought against the mother and her experienced attorney and the court system. So I was outnumbered 4-1 every time I went to court. And you see my court order of me getting custody, a white man with a biracial girl. All the odds were against me, and I got full custody. How did I do it? I talk about it in my videos to a point. And if you want to know more and want to know everything you need to know because you actually care about your kid, then you'll have some balls or gumption or initiative to give me a call and do a consultation for a few $20 bills, which is what you spend on lattes every week. Put the latte down and learn how to fight for your life with your kid a little bit. My main point of this video is don't believe what I'm saying just because I say it. Now, many of you know because it hits your conscience and it stirs your conscience because I'm telling truth. When you tell God the honest truth and you get to the core and the heart of the truth of a matter and you criticize all the lies, people instinctively know you know what you're talking about. But I'm still saying don't believe me just because I say something. Now, Judge Anthony, who likes to shake his rump every time he gets a testimonial. He has 1 million followers, so he has 100,000 times more followers than I do. He gets a testimonial of somebody winning in court, and he goes and shakes his rump like a solid gold dancer. And that's great. He's helping people win. I'm not knocking that. He has some great information. I'm not knocking that. But he charges $300 an hour to give some of the same information I give people. I don't agree with him on some other stuff, but I give him the nod because I'm not a hater. But he's a judge, and he never stands up to judges. He talks bad about the system in general, and judges and lawyers created the system, and he's one of them, and he's profiting $300 an hour off of people. I'm making 1/5 of that, and probably I don't have online courses and the fancy, digital courses that he has or the money to be able to set that stuff up, because I'm just living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to survive, helping people. And then some ex-MMA fighter gets on my page and says, James is a scam. He talks crazy. Look at him. So an MMA fighter is so sensitive and his skin is so thin and it's so easily hurt by the harsh things that I'm saying that he calls me crazy and a scam. He doesn't say why or how. He doesn't back up what he's saying. You just believe what he says just because he says it. And I actually agree with the guy on his TikTok page about what he's whining and crying about with child support, but he's not doing anything about it. I'm helping guys get out of child support. And he says I say crazy stuff. Yeah, I say dads should get custody, or dads should get 50-50, and dads are equal. I'm so crazy. Or dads should grow up and be a man and have some balls and fight for their kids. He was an MMA fighter. He fought people just for the fun of it. I'm telling people, fight for your life with your kids, and he thinks I'm crazy because I'm telling dads to stop being lazy and stop being cowards. That's really a crazy idea. Why the heck would somebody do that? Because most fathers in the fathers' rights movement are a bunch of sellouts. They want some nice, easy, gentle, tiptoe through the tulips, sweet, loving talk about how you automatically should have your kids and all this bad stuff's going to go away. Well, all the kids, the millions of kids that get trafficked around the world for sex trafficking, they wish it would go away. Is sex trafficking going away? No. What needs to happen is some alpha males and some real men need to go after the child traffickers. But the problem with the fathers' rights movement is filled with guys who whine, cry, and pout and moan, and then there's infighting. Like, I just gave props to Judge Anthony. He says a lot of good stuff, but I'll criticize him for some bullcrap because he's a ex-judge and won't stand up. If anybody has some street cred to stand up to judges and try and change the system, he does, but he's not doing it. He's just making money. I'm out there protesting my judge in his neighborhood and telling his neighbors what a child molester he is because he molests and disturbs the peace of children, and what a racist he is because he hates my biracial child because he traumatizes her with stuff he does to me in court. So I stand up to this stuff. I'm different than these other people. And then other people attack me because I don't have sweet, fancy, loving, gentle, tender, kind words all the time. And I have plenty of those when I'm encouraging people and when I have one-on-one consultations or when I congratulate people. But I'm not going to stand up here and sit here and tell everybody, oh, it's going to be okay. Let's hug and let's spoon with each other and cry and whine and moan and sing kumbaya like they do at the Fathers' Rights Movement meetings. And they've been going on for 50 years and nothing has changed. I'm in here helping people win. I've helped 300 guys get full custody without an attorney. I don't know another attorney who's helped 10 guys get full custody in a contested case. So these little punk mark, little sellouts who are right in second place, right under house slaves, or right under somebody like George Soros, who went and bought and flipped houses from Jews in Nazi Germany after they were shipped off to Auschwitz. That's a sellout when you're infighting against other fathers and just saying, I'm a scam, don't talk to me, or whatever. And I don't care what he says. I'm just pointing out how stupid and simpy and limp-wristed and fake and phony all these fathers' rights guys are, because they don't like my tone. Because I'm outraged at the system, and I'm standing up against it. I'm saying the best way for fathers to win is for fathers to fight their cases one by one and grow some balls and do it. And I know not every father's going to do it, and I know the system is going to change, because 90% of fathers are a bunch of punk simp cowards. But you can change that. I've had guys who say, I've been such a little pea, and I've been such a little sissy, and I've been such a whiner. I'm sick and tired of getting railroaded. I want to stand up now, and I'm ready to rock and roll and help them in a minute. And I'm not going to condemn them or beat them over the head for what they did in the past. It's time to get going. But if you want to call me and whine and cry, I had a guy who called me, and every time I told him a solution to his problem, he goes, I can't do that. I can't stand up to her. I'm such a pea. What are you doing even calling me then? We're in a war over our kids. You think soldiers go off to war? You think when they stormed Normandy Beach, they're like, man, I'm such a little pea. Those guys were scared to death because they knew half of them were going to die. But they went anyway. Now, we could debate about whether a war is legitimate or not and who runs wars and stuff like that. But those guys were fighting a tyrant and a dictator. Or at least, you know, any war, if you believe you're fighting a dictator and for a righteous cause, then you're ready to fight for your country. So what they felt, you know, whether you know, whatever the debate is on each war, most soldiers are going in like, I'm fighting for freedom. They want freedom. They want to protect their country and all that stuff. Okay, that's generally what people usually believe. That's a noble thing. They don't go in there saying, oh, I'm such a sissy. I don't want to sign up for this. I'll just stay here. I'll stay back. Like, you signed up for it. Let's go. You signed up for having a kid with a crazy woman. Here you go. Let's go. So did I. But see, I can own stuff. You know, in the 7th month of my custody battle, I cried. I felt sorry for myself, but I had no other choice but to get on the offensive when I got up the next day and figure out how am I going to fight this? Who can help me? Oh, this guy can help me. Let me get a meeting with him. Let me go to a Free Fathers Rights Movement meeting, with Dad, or it wasn't Fathers Rights. It was Dad's America. And this guy told me all kinds of stuff I never heard before. And I'm like, I got to talk to this dude. I paid him. And then I kept going to him and I kept paying him. And he told me 1% of what I'm telling you guys for free in all my free videos. And what I took, this is why I don't have any mercy on guys who don't want to fight or want to quit or want to whine and cry and piss and moan. Like the ex-MMA fighter on my TikTok that was complaining about me being a scam artist and don't anybody listen to me because I talk crazy. Yeah, I talk crazy talk because it doesn't fit the narrative of the radical feminists. I talk counter to our society. So this wannabe alpha male is telling me I talk crazy. Guys should get custody. Guys should have 50-50. Guys should get on the offensive. They should grow some balls and stop being a bunch of sissies because your fear is you being afraid of something invisible that's not going to get you thrown in jail. That's not going to hurt. I got so many guys who say, oh, my baby's mom only lets me see the kid for 4 hours. What do you mean lets you? So you get the kid on Saturday from 12 to 4 and she says, bring the kid back. Why don't you just keep the kid? I can do that. She's keeping the kid. Do you have a court order? No. When you guys lived together or were married, did you ever take the kid to the park on your own without her permission? Yeah. What's different now? We're not together and she doesn't like me. Oh, so the law says that when the mother doesn't like you, you surrender all rights and you have to bow down to her and obey her like you're her good little slave or like she's your mommy? I never thought about that. What about if she calls the cops? If it's a crime for you to keep the kid when she doesn't want you to, when she has a kid and you want the kid and you don't want her to have the kid, why don't you call the cops on her? Oh, I did, and they said they can't do anything about it. It's a civil matter. Why did you just bring up the cops if you already know they can't do anything? I guess I'm just a little coward. Thank you. Grow some balls. I just don't want any trouble with her. Okay, so you want to give yourself an ulcer and surrender your kid and lose out on your life with your kid, and you want to allow pain to be inflicted upon you because you don't want any trouble with her? You already have trouble with her, you stupid, dumbed down, airheaded, brainless zombie. Grow some balls. Okay? This is the mentality of the average guy. So when I sit here and say something like that, why don't you just act like the mother acts? Why don't you just act like you're the father of your own kid? If it's a crime, if you have the kid from 12 to 4 and she says, bring the kid back now, and you have the kid at 5 o'clock, where's the law that says it's a crime? And if it's a crime to act like the father of your own kid for 5 hours, how come it's not a crime for 4 hours? You see how insane it is what you're doing when you think about it for a second? Instead of being a little simp and bow down and obey the mother because you don't want any drama because you're scared of a woman? Like a child? This is what enrages me about my own gender. I wish somebody would have told me, just keep your kid. I didn't even think about it because I was just happy to get my kid. I never thought about it. If somebody would have said, why don't you just keep the kid all weekend? I'm like, well, what's wrong? Well, yeah, what's wrong? What's wrong if I did keep that? What trouble could I get into? And somebody told me none. Because there's no court order. You already have the kid. Like, if it's a crime for you to keep your own kid and act like the father of your own kid, why did you go to the park for 3 hours or to ocean shores with your kid for the weekend? Well, we were together. We were getting along. So getting along with the mother and her being happy with you. So she owns the children 100% and you are her slave. And so where do you get that from? Where's the law that says that? Where does it say that in the Constitution? You're making it up in your own cowardly punk-ass mind. Because you're a stupid simp who just believes whatever the mother says or whatever feels, or you just don't want any drama. So you'd rather your children be abused by the mother and have no father in their life except you're a visitor like you're a prisoner. You'd rather have your kids abused by the mother and you will take the abuse too, like a good little simp. I'll be darned if somebody's going to keep me from my kid. As soon as my baby's mother withheld the child from me and started doing that, I was on the offensive and going to war, and I didn't stop. I gave her one chance to offer a settlement with me, and then the war was on. I was willing to. I went into court on a restraining order hearing, and she was like, "Oh, James was so abusive to me, and he never hit me or anything, but it's just such a toxic relationship, and now I'm at so much peace separating." I said, "Your Honor, I care less whether I talk to her ever again. I just want to see my kid. The only reason I call the house is so I can see how my kid is doing." Where the mother sits in a recliner that I got for her so she'd be comfortable while she's pregnant, where there's a changing station with drawers and filled with all the clothes that I bought her, and a bed for the kid or a crib for the kid that I bought her. Everything at that house is something I bought her. So can I have involvement in my kid's life too? Can I call and see how my kid is doing? When you have parties and there's all those football players from the university over at your house partying and getting smashed, can I find out if my kid's okay? See, we sound really stupid when we analyze what the hell we're doing, acting like a bunch of punks. And you're supposed to be protecting your kid from child abusers, and the mom is a child abuser, and you're like, I have to obey the child abuser because she's, because I'll get an Amber Alert. I've had people say that when I ask them, why don't you just keep your kid? Oh, Amber Alert. Who is on Amber Alerts? Who do you usually see on an Amber Alert? If any of you have ever said you're worried about keeping your kid because of an Amber Alert, who do you see on Amber Alerts? Oh, I don't know. So you're afraid of an Amber Alert and your dumbass doesn't even know who the hell is called on for an Amber Alert? So you're afraid of something you don't even know the answer to? This is how stupid, this is what fear does to you. False evidence appearing real. Fear causes someone to flee when nobody pursues. Fear is a state of insanity. It's an emotional basket case mentality where you're off balance. You're afraid. Now, people who have a legit fear, like people who stormed the beach at Normandy, those guys have a legit fear of actually dying because it was likely they were going to die. You're afraid of something that doesn't even exist. You even admit you call the cops on the mom. They can't do anything. But you're afraid of the cops after you call the cops and they say they can't do anything. You're so stupid in your fear that you're afraid of something you know can't happen. So on an Amber Alert, it's usually a total stranger or somebody with a restraining order. Or sometimes the mother lies because the dad is such a stupid jackass. You never got on the birth certificate like a complete moron. And so, and I'm calling a spade because I get stupid stuff like this. I had a guy who, I mean, I've had countless guys who haven't been on the birth certificate for years. So they got to go to court and prove paternity and take months to do that before. Why wouldn't you have a birth certificate? You have a birth certificate. Why wouldn't your kid have the same privilege as you? Because you want to avoid child support. That's what it was. Dumbass. And if you have any other reason, that's a stupid reason. You don't need to be raised and taught to get a birth certificate. It's kind of automatic. Now, if you're opposed, if you're one of those independent nation folks and stuff, you have a great legit point. But for the sake of this stuff, you should, unless you're fighting that cause, which nobody's really won, because in reality, they're not honoring that. But, you know, people honoring the treaties with the Moors and all that other stuff that actually exists, and which is true, they're not really honoring it. Do you want to fight a battle that nobody's ever won, or do you want to get your kid? So, don't believe anything I'm saying just because I say it. I tell you I got full custody. Go look at my winning court order at the link in my bio. I told you I won my first contempt hearing. Go look at the link in my bio and look at the actual order where the mother had an attorney and the guardian lion was there and she wrote a report saying the mother shouldn't be found in contempt, poor little mom, and James is such a jerk, and blah, blah. Go look at my winning reversal in the Court of Appeals. Go look at my winning order on discretionary review, which is harder than an appeal, and I did it against an attorney with 50 years experience. Don't believe what I'm saying. Go look in what I say to back it up. Then believe what I'm saying, or continue to walk off and tuck your tail and run and say, I don't want to call James. I'm just going to be a punk and I'm going to pay an attorney $100,000 to lose. Keep doing what you're doing. But if I'm a scam, how come I tell you don't believe what I'm saying? Do not believe what anybody tells you unless they back it up. If the lawyer says, well, you can't get custody, why not? That's just what the courts do. Well, what does the law say? Because the law says it doesn't matter the gender. So there must be something wrong with the culture in the court. So if you're an attorney, didn't you create, or when did you become an attorney to go and create a new world out there or to fight injustices? Isn't that why people usually become attorneys? I'm going to fight injustice. I'm going to change the system and make the system better. And then you go in there and you're like, oh, this is the way the system is. And you bow down to it. You punk little simp sellout to humanity, commit treason. All these attorneys should be in prison for life. I sit there and I have videos on how to deal with an attorney, and people won't do that. They're scared to stand up to their attorney, and you're the boss and you run that attorney and they're subservient to you. And they say, this is the way we do it. And you go, oh, okay. I'm sorry, master. There's the mother. I'm sorry, your worshipfulness, my queen. I'm sorry for wanting to be equal. I'm sorry for committing blasphemy. Turn to your attorney. Your attorney says, don't get on the offensive. Don't do a deposition. Don't talk bad about the mother. Just go to court and hope that you win. He just told you that you're going to lose, and then don't call the child molester that she lives with a child molester. Don't call her a drug addict. Don't call her a mentally ill suicidal maniac. Even though the law says if she has those problems, you should get custody. Don't bring that up because that might help you win. And then we're just going to not say anything and look good and hope you win by looking nice. What kind of dumbass sense does that make? Does somebody who's on trial for murder say, I'm nice, and then they're like, oh, you get to go free? Where does that work? See, because you don't question anything, you just bow down to it. When I question it, I look like I'm radical because I make so much sense, and you're being such a dumbass, and you're being such a coward that when it comes time to deal with this stuff, you don't like dealing with the truth that hits you in the face. Like, I have been a total stupid jackass. I've been a sellout to my kids. I haven't tried to fight. I haven't even looked up the laws and figured out myself. I haven't demanded more of my attorney. I'm acting like I don't care about my kids. It's time for me to be a man and grow some balls and fight for my kid. I got nothing to lose. I got 2 hours of supervised visitation. I can only go up. Guys are, if I talk to the judge and say, you need to do what's in the best interest of the kids, like the law says. And the science says the best interest is to have both parents involved. So follow the science. I can't say that to the judge. He'll execute me in the courtroom. He'll command lightning to fall from the sky and strike me down. Punk ass, fearful coward, little shaking in your boots simp. But you'll go out there and you'll go to the bar on Friday and you'll start a brawl with a total stranger who might kill you, but you're afraid of telling a judge what his job is and what the law says. But don't believe me? Go read the law and go read how you're selling yourself out and how you're abandoning your kids by not fighting for them. Because the law says, like in Florida, 6113, I just talked to a guy today. He never heard of the law. Florida statute 61.13. The dude had a lawyer for a year and spent thousands of dollars on him. And he talked to me for free for 5 minutes. I gave him 5 minutes because he called me and said, I saw one of your videos. I said, I got to talk to you. I said, I got to listen to this guy. This is refreshing. A guy with balls who wants to take some initiative and call me on instinct because he knows I know what the hell I'm talking about. Let me listen to this guy. Let me give him 5 minutes of my free time. In 5 minutes, I gave him 4 points of 4 things that an attorney didn't do and go and ask his attorney what to do. Like, how come you didn't tell me about the law? 61.13. One of the factors in the law is which, it says the best interest, who's performing the parenting functions, the geographical location of the parents. Here's another factor the court has to consider. Which parent is more likely to facilitate a relationship with the other parent and honor the other parent's relationship with the child? The mother's withholding the child. She totally flunks that. Boom, he wins on that. He should get custody. How come the attorney never told him that? And I told him that, but I told him, do not believe me that exists. Go read it for yourself. I'm just pointing you to what's in the law on the internet. You should be able to look this up and figure it out yourself. My mentor didn't even tell me about the law. I went and looked it up and figured it out myself because it was brought up. He didn't think to do it. He told me the rules and some other things and how to file a motion, and that's about it to get me into court. I saw the attorney cite the law. I'm like, what else does the law say? Because I'm curious to find out what my rights are because I'm not a dumbass little punk little simp, and I made up my mind my entire life is going to revolve around I go to work so I can get some food to eat and pay rent, and the rest of my life is revolved around fighting for my daughter because she's the most important thing. Not Monday Night Football, not Thursday Night Football, not hanging out with the guys, not escaping and whining and crying and playing PlayStation all day long. My life with my kid was on the line, so I was going to war for her. So don't believe that I got custody. Look at my winning court order. Don't believe that I beat up on attorneys without my own attorney. Look at the signatures on my court orders. It's me and the opposing attorney. The first one was Mark Livis. The second one was Don Farrell. My first guardian ad litem was Megan Stanley O'Brien, or O'Brien Stanley. I always forget. And the second one was Renee Ewald. The guardian ad litem recommendations were never adopted by the court because I destroyed them and attacked them with a reply. And you know what your dumbass attorney says all the time? Well, let's not attack the guardian ad litem. That'll look bad. So somebody lies about you, makes up false facts that they're going to slam you with in court, and you stay silent on it and remain silent in a court where you have a right to defend yourself because your punk-ass sellout attorney says that'll look bad, and he's such a limp-wristed, thin-skinned punk coward. He doesn't want to say anything negative about the guardian ad litem because they're both in the bar association, and they go to the same cocaine-snorting parties and wife-swapping orgies. And he doesn't want to ruin his reputation attacking a guardian ad litem, so he will sacrifice you and put you on the cutting block. And his allegiance is to you, and he's getting $300 to $400 an hour from you, and he took an oath to represent you, and the rules of professional conduct say he's supposed to diligently represent you and advocate for you, and his allegiance is to you, and he works for you. You're his boss. If a plumber comes to your house and smokes cigarettes all day and eats McDonald's, you come home and he hasn't touched the pipes that are leaking, you would say, give me my freaking money back, get out of my house. But your lawyer, you say, okay, whatever you say, I'm sorry for questioning you and your wisdom and your infinite knowledge. I'm sorry. The only person out there who can rescue your kids from this system and the other abusive parent is you. And your punk ass is walking around like Clark Kent and won't jump in the booth and become Superman to your kids. You sell out. You need to have a talk like Simba did to Mufasa in the clouds when Simba was being a little punk and frolicking with the other inferior animals out in the oasis and abandoning his post as king of the jungle. Now, this is a cartoon. This is pathetic. I need a cartoon to tell you to grow some balls. But if any of you saw Lion King, his father came to him in the sky and said, remember who you are. You're the king of the freaking jungle. Go out there and grow some balls and be a man, be the king of the jungle like I trained you to be or started to train you to be. And then Simba said, you know what? You're right. He remembered who he is. He's like, this is my kingdom. Forget my evil Uncle Scar. I'm going to go F him up. You should be like, this family is my kingdom. The queen is a traitor and she's trying to destroy my kingdom. And then some strangers coming in to try and take my kingdom and help her. I'm going to go in and destroy them. How dare they say I'm a second-class citizen in my own kingdom? Know who you are. You're the father of your kid. You're the protector, and you're hiding and running and wanting to disappear because it's so hard. Well, guess what? Just like me, you were stupid enough to have a kid with a crazy woman. And I had a nice 20-year string of healthy relationships with people. They just didn't work out and stuff. And then I sold myself out, lowered my standards, tried to rescue a damsel in distress, and got played by a total hoe and narcissist who had 5 boyfriends behind my back. I didn't even know. I was too stupid. I knew she was toxic. I felt for her and her pain and her life and upbringing and stuff. But her stories, which look legitimate on the surface, were fake. Her stories about being a victim were fake because she was a toxic psycho witch. She had a sweet side that maybe was that little girl who got abused when she was younger that turned her into the monster that she is. And it turned out she was a psycho player and extorted me for money and had 5 other boyfriends giving her money. And I was her main supply if you look up narcissism. So I own that. I was stupid. I was a sucker. I lowered my boundaries because I believed a pathological liar and I got suckered. And from now on, I'm having my boundaries up. Hard lesson learned. But I can own that stuff and own it. You had a kid. You were stupid enough to have a kid with a crazy woman. Or she turned crazy on you. And then you didn't use your brain when she attacked you and called the cops for her committing a crime. And now you're the one who's the domestic violence perpetrator, even though she beat you up 4 different times and threatened to stab the kids and blow the house up. Because you didn't call the cops because you were too stupid. Like, I love her so much. I should let this psycho just continue to torment us. And she's so psychotic. She needs help. She'll never do anything psychotic to us, even though she falsely accused me of domestic violence and wanted me to go to jail 5 times and destroy my life. She can't possibly be willing to do something to keep me away from my kids. And here you are. Don't believe what I say. Go look up the free stuff in my videos or the links or the information. Look on my flow page and look at the free information that says must see for dads. If I'm a scam, you think I'm a scam, how come I'm telling you don't believe me? Does your lawyer say, hey, don't believe what I'm saying, go look it up yourself? No, no lawyer ever does that. That's why you don't know what the hell you're doing right now. And that's why you don't have any gumption to even ask the lawyer, well, wait, I don't know what's going on here. If a mechanic says, give me $5,000 to fix your car, you will ask them for a statement or an invoice, an itemization of what they're going to do and what's wrong with the car. And you might even look at it yourself if you have some knowledge of mechanics. But you're not going to do that when it comes to your life with your kid and your welfare with your kid and an attorney who works for you, are you? No, you're not, because you're a sellout to yourself and to your kids. But you can change. Make up your mind. Hopefully you'll get motivated by this video. Hopefully you're not so thin-skinned that what I'm saying, oh, it's too harsh. Like you played football in high school and your coach chewed you out and cussed you out. Way worse than what I'm doing. And that was for a game. And you were willing to listen to it because you wanted to be a football star. Well, don't you want to be a star of your family and be a father and put back in your rightful place? What's a few harsh words for me for you to wake up and grow some balls and fight for your kids? Aren't your kids worth taking a few harsh words from me on this video? And I'm not even publicly humiliating you. If you got a problem with this and you're provoked or triggered to say James is a scam artist and come out on here and then show your face, then you got triggered because it's true. And if you don't like what I'm saying, turn the channel and go to the other father's rights guys who are being nice. Oh, wait, there are none in America. Well, there's Judge Anthony, who has 1 million followers, and I got a few thousand, and I have just as many testimonials every week. I just don't go and shake my rump and act like I'm down with everybody to win some people over and entertain them. I don't think this is entertaining. I don't think this is funny. I think this is sick and sad. I think we're in a friggin' war. And I act like the 5-star general I am in this war on fathers because I've been growing balls and having balls and getting more and bold to stand up to these people. I go and protest my judge in his own neighborhood. And when I go out and protest, I don't do it like the Father's Rights Movement, little simp, little fruity punks. I go out there and say, here's a case number. This judge gave custody to a mother with a registered sex offender boyfriend. This blind mom got custody and this seeing dad couldn't get custody. And the blind mom got her kid burned because she couldn't see where her kid was and he touched the oven. I say specific cases like that. And you know what the judges start doing? They start giving more time to fathers. That's amazing, isn't it? But these fathers' rights groups filled with simps and punks and the Dad's Daily Show, Dad Talk Daily, there's a podcast like that. I went on there and asked this guy, how come you don't have winners on here? How come it's all sad stories and losers all the time? You're adding to the hopelessness. He blocked me. Instead of saying, well, what do you got to offer, idiot? Well, I help I got full custody. I've helped hundreds of dads do the same without an attorney, and thousands more do better and get out of child support. And all he wants to do is talk about how child support sucks. And here I am with the #1 solution for it, and he blocks me. This is the frustration. And I'm not even frustrated anymore. I just think it's the norm. That's why I don't have any hope for the system change. All I'm hoping for, just like this world we're filled with a bunch of sheep and a bunch of zombies and idiots who want to live on their phone and not pay attention to their freedoms that are being taken away from them. There's only a few people that are woken. There's more and more people waking up, but it isn't until they come knocking at your door. But there's been people who've been warning us about this for a long time, and everybody thought that they're idiots. Because you're so stupid when you listen to somebody, you just listen to the tone and the emotions. And because you're so feminized, if you're a man and you're such a woman, you're an emotional basket case woman, when somebody says something you don't like, you're like, I don't like that. That makes me feel bad, so it must not be true. Somebody's warning you about fascism coming to America or something, and here it comes, and then you're like, oh my God, how did that happen? Because your dumbass wasn't listening, you zombie, brainless, TikTok addict, just watching your phone all day. The last girl I dated, she gives her phone to her kid. The kid is raised by the phone. For those of you in the greater Seattle area, stay away from Lorena Harris. That's with the Lawrina. That chick's a hoe, got a body count of 1,000, been playing dudes for 10 years. I had no idea until I talked to her other baby's dad. And then she threatened to kill me for talking to him, and I got a protection order against her. And she tried to get a protection order against me, and she failed 3 times in 3 different court actions. But she gives her phone to her child watching TikTok and YouTube. That kid's got behavioral problems because of that. And you're caught up in your phone and the fake reality of your phone. Now, I'm doing this on a phone, but I'm sending a message that helps save lives. So there's positive stuff on there, but when you give a phone to a kid and all they watch is TikTok and adult content, and she also had a bunch of rated X videos of her and her other boyfriends on there. That's how I found out she had 5 boyfriends. A weekend, she was asking me to take her out of town and take a trip. See what a simp I was? And I can own it. And I was a sucker. She was a friend for 8 years. I cared about her, and I didn't follow my instincts. I let my guard down and lowered my standards because I catered to her trauma in her life and toxicity. And when you do that, it's poison. I thought I was being compassionate. I was selling myself out, and I could own it and man up and learn from my mistake and move forward. Why don't you do that for the sake of your kids? But don't believe what I'm saying. Go look at all my, I don't know how many guys, but there's several guys, and it's harder to do than if you get a consult with me, but it's possible to watch all my videos and to go get full custody without an attorney, without a consult with me. That happens too. So how am I a scam artist? I'm happy for those guys who never got a consult with me and watch my free videos. My free videos are out here. I have $50,000 worth of free videos online. Okay? If you add up my videos and the time spent, it would cost you $50,000 to sit with a lawyer and learn this stuff. And I have idiots on TikTok who say, oh, you go off on tangents, you ramble. Everything that I say has some life lesson in it, or some encouragement, or some wake the hell up talk, or some information you'll never get from your attorney. And it's to wake and shake you up, and it's also to tell you can do this yourself. And the guys go, I can't. Is there another way? It seems so hard. Okay, then quit on your kids. It's either go hard and fight hard or quit. If you're playing a football game, if you're going for a job, you work hard to impress them at an interview and you study that company, you put some time in it, you put some time in your resume, you work hard. What other entity in the world where you get success do you not work hard to get? But when it comes to your kids, oh, it's so hard. What is your punk ass doing? You don't do that with anything else in life, not even your own job. So your kids aren't as important as your job or the money you get from a job. Wake the hell up and get out of your fear and your emotions. And you move forward. Watch Andrew Tate, hashtag Andrew Tate, or David Goggins, or Snake Diet. Go watch some other alpha males who talk way worse than I do and learn how to be a man a little bit and wake up. This is the real world. We're in a war over our kids. And the only thing that's going to save us is for men to become masculine men again. No country is ever overtaken when they have masculine alpha males. That's why they've been feminizing us since at least the early 90s. Softening and delicately tenderizing us into some soft little simps and accepting all kinds of immorality. And we just lay down and take it because we want to be tolerant. And we don't stand up. And then now everybody is, now we're in cancel culture because men are a bunch of simps and won't stand up for righteousness or justice. And so now everybody's feelings get hurt. So femininity has taken over. But the women are all manly. Radical feminists, psychotic. Now, there's plenty of beautiful women out there who are sweet and I'm friends with and stuff like that. But the dominant culture that's taken over is that. So my main theme is don't believe what I'm saying. Go look it up yourself. And if you don't figure this out on your own, get some help from somebody like me. I shouldn't have to slap you upside the head with it. But I'm not out here looking to convince and win over people. I'll wake you up. If you wake up of your own volition and you want to contact me, great. If you don't, continue to get royally screwed in your case and lose and spend $100,000 on an attorney. But don't call me afterward and say, "Hey, James, I didn't listen to you." I've had people call me before. "I didn't listen to what you said. I didn't take your advice. I knew you were right, but I had to get an attorney because I was scared. And now I'm royally screwed. Help me fix this." It's too late. You should have trusted your instincts. I trusted my instincts when I didn't have a James Christensen helping me out. I did not have this help. I'm telling you, I literally had 1/100th of the information I'm sharing with you for free. And I kicked butt in court. Why? Because I had some balls and some gumption to fight for my kid. And I was willing to fight for my kid for 18 years if I never got any visitation. And I was going to be able to face her. One of my biggest fears, I feared that I'm going to stand in front of God. I'm going to give an account on how involved I was in my kid's life. And nobody in this world was going to stop me. My own sister told me, "Give up, just give the mother whatever she wants. You're going to give yourself an ulcer or a heart attack fighting." I had 2 different boyfriends who spent $100,000 in family court, and they didn't get anything out of it. And they lost. I said, "You know what? I love you, but screw off. I'm fighting for my kid." And I'm so glad I did, because the truth of what works was there before me. I stumbled across it because I had the gumption and willingness to fight, and I was going to figure it out. And I didn't know what I was doing half the time, but I kept moving forward and doing something, and I found out the hard way. And now I'm giving you guys shortcuts and saving you days, weeks, months of research and work. And I got sellout fathers saying I'm a scam. I'm sitting here giving you stuff that took me weeks, months, and years. If you go to my store, there's a rule of evidence video, which is something everybody should know, because your attorney isn't objecting to inadmissible evidence. Your attorney should be getting evidence thrown out there using against you. And if you know the rules of evidence, you could light a fire under him. Or if you're representing yourself, which is your best chance to get something fair, you know the rules of evidence. You'll know how to fight them and try how to kick that stuff out. It's an hour and 20-minute video for $40. It's less than a consult with me. And you don't have to worry about taking notes and listening to me, because it's right there on a video. You can write it down, you could go and rewind it, and it's there for you. That's the best resource I probably created for anybody. The second best resource is probably my defense against restraining order packet. It's extremely successful with guys who get on the offensive right away. I just had a guy who, I forgot if I mentioned in this video, I've done a few videos. A guy, the mom had a restraining order for a year. She was trying to renew it. He got my packet and he got a consult with me, and he fought it off, and now she has no restraining order. He destroyed her. I got countless stories from people just buying my packet and not even getting a consult. And then I have packets for defense of contempt and parenting plan packets and all the demand letters, where people use the demand letters to get their money back from their attorney, or the school or the hospital is not giving them records. $40. If you paid $40 to get those letters, you will at least improve your letter writing skill. You might actually get your rights to your kids back, your rights to your kids' records. That's what do you call it? That's priceless. You can't put a price on that. And it's $40 to get about 27 different samples of letters that I've written to the police, to the mayor, to the city council, talking about police abusing their authority and talking crazy to me and getting them in trouble or getting them admonished. Writing letters to opposing attorneys, writing a letter to my attorney to get the money back, or writing a letter to the school, like I said. I got 27 of them. I can't remember off the top of my head all the topics on there. But that people write letters and have the attorney forgive. They got a balance of $2,000, and the attorney's scared. You got the attorney scared, and they just say, "Okay, I'll just forgive that, and let's just part ways, and you don't owe that money anymore." That happens almost every time we have an outstanding balance with an attorney, when I've written a letter for somebody or they've used my letters. All kinds of great stuff in here that took me years to accumulate, and people are complaining that it costs a few bucks. But you're willing to spend. I had guys say, "I spent $120,000 on an attorney," and you're a con artist. You just want money just like the attorneys. No, I just want 3 $20 bills to give you more information you got from an attorney. You're such a stupid dumbass, or you got PTSD from what you're doing, that you're deranged now, and you think somebody who actually, you're talking to an attorney who loses and loses and loses. You're the dumbass. After your first $5,000 failed, you went back to the attorney. If you go to a transmission overhaul a tranny service, and you get a transmission overhaul, and it costs you $5,000, and your car gets stuck in third gear, and you take it back, and they say that'll be full price again, will you go, okay, that sounds great, and do it again after you lost out on the service that they didn't provide? Yet you'll do it over and over and over again with an attorney, and then you'll go get another attorney, and they lose for you. You'll keep continuing to pay it. Who's the dumbass here? Who's the con artist? It's your attorney. And I sit here, got a track record, and I prove I got a track record. I got testimonials on Instagram under the hashtag HIGC testimony, or testimonials. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. I have to go look. And people are got DMs and comments and things like that. I just had a guy comment on my TikTok within the last few weeks. He'd been watching my free videos, never got a consult with me, just walked away with his daughter, made me cry. He walked away with his daughter. And he had a lawyer, but he was demanding his lawyer do stuff that I say demand your lawyer to do. And he took heed to everything that I said. And he's got his custody of his daughter. And some of you dumbasses out there are whining and crying because I say harsh words. If a drill sergeant says harsh words, and their harsh words train somebody for war, and that saves their life because they change their mentality to prep for war, do you think that soldier's going to come back and say, man, I regret that drill sergeant yelling at me and telling me to do those extra push-ups, or telling me to do this and that, and making me practice disassembling my gun because it saved my life? Come on, man, wake the hell up and get real, okay? I'm here because I'm passionate about this. I got the knowledge that's helped guys win, and I'm sharing it. And I get persecuted all the time. I get criticized all the time. I get people hating on me all the time. I'm barely making enough money to get by, so I'm not getting rich like Judge Anthony and other people who are charging $300 an hour. Everybody tells me I should be charging way more, but I'm trying to make it affordable. And I still got people saying, how dare you charge money for and prey upon people who are hurting? Do firemen make money put out fires? Do cops make money rescuing people from bad people? Do psychologists charge to help your trauma? Does a doctor charge money? Or do you have to pay a doctor to get help for a crisis that you're in when you're hurting? Why do you have a welfare mentality like these welfare moms that were sick and tired of abusing the system? Why are you a welfare dad, punk little simp who's mad for three $20 bills you'd have to pay me to take my time and learn all this valuable information that I gained through blood, sweat, and tears in my own winning case? I've been in and out of court for 20 years. My baby's mom didn't stop. She objected to me relocating 30 miles when she lived in California, and I lived in Seattle. She had the most abusive family law attorney in the country coming after me and fighting me just for the fun of it. I went to jail for 8 days after I didn't get notice of a hearing, and I got arrested, and I didn't know the hearing. They never served me. The judge emailed me on her behalf to an old email address. And then when I didn't show up at the hearing, he issued a bench warrant. I went to jail for 8 days and traumatized my daughter. And I'm the custodial parent raising the child. And I got called a monster who abuses women and children. And I'm always going to court with the mother. So I must not be caring for our kid. And she abandoned our kid. So I've been through everything except being falsely accused of molesting my kid. I've been falsely accused of everything else. And I've been through the ringer. And I've been through hell and back. And your punk ass is saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm a scam artist, because you can't believe that you got beat up and you didn't try, and you can't believe it. You got beat up and you didn't try, and here I'm saying you can't do it and saying you're a coward if you, and it triggers you because then you have to face the fact that I haven't been trying. Wake up and change your mind and just turn around and repent of your sissified, mentality toward this. And if you don't like it, go on to the next channel. Like I said, there's Judge Anthony Brown. Go pay him, or Judge Anthony, go pay him $300 an hour and talk with him. And then if you win, he'll do a little dance for you. Maybe if you tip him, maybe he'll, make a clap or something like that. Good for you. But I've seen several fathers' rights groups come and go. The best one was in Las Vegas. They're gone. They sold their firm, their building, to an attorney who promised to carry on the fathers' rights tradition, and he's a total sellout now. Dad's America, the guys who ran it out at the headquarters out of Portland, they're all waiting for the UFOs to come get us because they all went senile. Every Father's Rights group has disappeared that I've been involved with, that I've been around, that I've seen. And I'm still here because I'm still dealing with the haters and the punk-ass, simp, sellout, house slave level of sellouts of fathers out there who criticize me even though we're on the same team. We could differ in approaches and stuff like that. You could say, okay, I'm an a-hole and I talk bad, but I'm definitely not a scam artist. And even if you're an ex-MMA fighter like this guy was who calls me a scam artist, I'll say it to your face. You're a punk little simp sellout, and you're a coward, and you're sitting there calling me a scam artist for what? You know, that guy who called me that, I'll say the stuff that he says on his page is true, but he's not doing anything about it. I don't see anything. And from what I gather, I'm going off his actions and what he said. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's a punk sellout. But I'm not going to judge him for his business that he charges $1,000 for, and he's calling me a scam, and I charge $60. All I know is that he has a business where he charges $1,000. That makes him a hypocrite for calling me a scam. And I'm up here telling you, don't even believe what I say. Go look it up. The information's out there. And you don't ever have to get a consultation with me. But it would help you a lot and save you hours and weeks and months of research, unless you got all day and you got the gumption to do it yourself, which is possible. But the average person doesn't. So I could save you weeks and weeks of stuff that you would pay an attorney thousands of dollars for. This is basic third grade level math. My sister with Down syndrome can add it up and see that I'm not a scam artist and these attorneys are. And you guys want to trust attorneys. And attorneys are the ones who created the system that you hate. And you go, that's like doing business with the mafia and hoping to get an honest, honorable, above board business transaction. You idiots. You hate the system created by attorneys, and you're hiring attorneys on your case that created the system that's screwing guys over and some women over. You're a sellout. Now, if you first got an attorney, you assume the attorney knows what they're doing, all this stuff. That's understandable. But after you spend the first 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, 300,000. I saw a guy on a Father's Rights group said, I spent $300,000 and I got nothing. Why didn't you stop doing that and lose for free after the first $10,000? Why didn't you lift your finger and move the mouse on the computer and look for Father's Rights? And after about 3 searches, you'd probably run into somebody like me. I got people say, oh, I wish I would have ran into you like 7, 10 years ago. You could have found me if you looked hard. If you would have got off your lazy ass and cared enough about your kids to spend 5 minutes on the internet. But we're too lazy and shiftless, and we grew up with mommy feeding us a golden spoon, or mommy did everything for us, or we never had any hard thing in our life except our job. And we're willing to do our job and work hard for a paycheck, for money, for paper, for fiat currency that doesn't mean anything. Except it helps us get stuff, material stuff. When it comes to our kids, we don't want to lift a finger. We want somebody else to wave a magic wand and make it go away and make us feel happy like mommy did when we were a kid. Stop being a mama's boy, grow some balls, and fight for your kid. Stop being Simba out in the oasis and be who you are. And remember who you are. You're the father of your kids. You acted like it when you were married and together, and now all of a sudden you're separated. You think your fatherhood ended. Your relationship as father to the kids did not change. The only thing that has changed is you're broken up. Where in the law does it say when you're broken up, you have no rights? Now, there's some states that say if you're not on the birth certificate, you don't have any rights. There's some states that say there's a presumption the mother has custody, but there's only 3 states I know of like that. And even then, you should have got off your rear a year ago and got on the birth certificate or got into court and done something about it. I had a guy who I worked with. He had 2 hours of supervised visitation. When he talked to me, a month later, the mom was sick and tired of fighting, and he didn't even win anything in court. Because when he first went to court, he thought he'd waltz into court and just tell him stuff. And he was so stupid, he didn't bring any evidence in court, like everybody else knows they should. The average person knows you come to court with pictures and text messages and stuff. This dummy didn't even do that. So we had nothing to work with when I came on board. And I worked with him, and he did a mini appeal called a revision. Then he did a reconsideration. And the mother was already tired of fighting him and said, why do you want to fight me? Why do you do this? And he said, your lawyer went to court and said this about me. Why are you lying about me? She goes, I didn't tell them to say that. So she fired her attorney and agreed to 50-50. And you know what this dumbass did? Nothing. I told him, you better sign and agree to the order right now before she changes her mind. And he said, okay, help me do that and help me work with that and help me figure this out. Okay, I need some money to do that. And then he didn't talk to me for another 2 months. Then he said, hey, we want to do that. Okay, I need some money. Didn't talk to, and then 6, 7 months later, he talked to me. He paid me to help him out. He got the paperwork done. And then she wanted to tweak it. And he's like, how do I adjust this? Or what language do I use for this? And blah, 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 blah. The next thing you know, she got in a fight with his fourth baby's mom that he was working on, and his fiance that he just had a kid with in the middle of his court battle, like a stupid jackass. And then the only reason I'm willing to talk to him about like this because he started talking crazy to me because his situation was screwed, but he didn't seal the deal. And he wants to blame everybody else for his own problems. Oh, my baby's mom, my life, my situation, my this, my that. It was this, it was the other people, it was everybody else, it was the man. No, you keep screwing a bunch of women and having sex with crazy women, and you got 4 different babies' moms, and you're wondering what the heck's going on. And you're working under the table, lying and cheating the system and thinking that you should win. So all that being said, now she got a restraining order against him. And 9 months ago, I had him, and he even said, you know, it wasn't really, James, it wasn't even that the arguments and stuff like that. It was just the fact that you got me getting on the offensive that wore her down and she's willing to settle. That's how it usually works, actually. Like, I was willing to fight for my kid because number one, I was going to fight for my kid because God created this kid and I'm responsible for it. And I'm going to stand before him and give an account. And then on top of that, I'm going to face my kid when she's 18. If I never see her, I want to be able to face her and say, I fought for you. I don't want her to say, Dad, where were you? I'll say, look at this stack of paperwork all the way to the ceiling in the court file. Go talk to your mom and ask her why I wasn't in your life. I was going to fight for her for 18 years. I had my mind made up. And it took 7 months because I had the gumption to get on the offensive because here's the warfare tactic. Here's what works in wars. And I just happened to stumble across it. And now I'm telling people how it works. And nobody told me how it worked. I figured it out and stumbled across it because I had some balls to fight for my kid because I cared. And now I'm sitting here telling people and people don't like it because it's too harsh and it's too not nice. And it hurts my little feelings. And my sensitive little skin feels scarred. And my precious little heart. And I hate the way James talks. It hurts my feelings. You're in a war. You want everybody to dance around saying kumbaya and tiptoe through the tulips? Like a little fruity fairy? Or do you want to be a man and go to war? Now, it's not even that harsh. It just takes some effort. At least try, give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. You're losing paying $400 to $500 an hour for an attorney, and you're losing. What do you got to lose by representing yourself? Oh, it's so hard. It'll hurt my feelings. It'll be inconvenient. Step outside yourself and grow some balls and be inconvenient for a little bit. You're already inconvenient with the pain. If you don't fight for your kids, you will suffer hell and torment until they're 18. The hell I went through for 7 months was worth it because I had my daughter. And even the hell I went through after that because I had my daughter. If I didn't have my daughter, that hell would have been more torment. So I'm glad I fought when I did. The end. But don't believe what I say. Go and verify. Trust and verify. Or don't believe at all, but go verify. This stuff is out there and I point you to it for you to look it up yourself. Your lawyer ain't even doing that. So if you think I'm a scam artist, go ahead and be a dumbass. It's to your own detriment. That's what's so insane about this is because I got the answers and somebody wants to criticize me. They're not hurting my feelings. They're hurting themselves because they don't want to deal with me because of my message or the way that I said it. So you don't want to get the tools or weapons or information to help you fight for your kids. And you'll go continue to spend $10,000 a month on an attorney who is selling you out and helping you lose. Stop being a punk. Stop being stupid. Learn to actually care about your kids for real and do something about it. Love is action. It's not talk. You don't get to say, I feel this way for my kids. Show it now. Man up.